Hey, folks, what's going on? It's Tiff. I'm back. And now I am super giddy because I get to introduce my brother from another mother slash father. One of them actually have three. But Hearne, are you my favorite brother?
You are well, in fact, favorite brother, longest connection, that kind of stuff. I mean, we've been doing this since 2001, which means that we
Yeah.
both started this when we were like 5 years old.
Yes, absolutely. It has definitely been a minute. I will say, when I was a wee pup at the mothership in Memphis and range master, and I first started shooting and first came around from my initial fear of guns, other than Tom Givens and Cecil Booker. John, I think, and Will Dugan were probably two of the first people that I actually met through my affiliation with the Rangemaster. So yeah, we go way back. But for folks who don't know you, John, please introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm John Hearne. Um, been Rangemaster staff, like I said, since about 2001. Retired from federal law enforcement career about a year, actually just over a year ago now. Started with the agency in 1992. So volunteer firefighter, all that crap before that. So I've been in public safety a bunch of years as far as that stuff goes. Retired as a supervisor for my folks, taught a bunch of stuff for the agency, firearms, use of force, legal stuff, taught at the local academy, that sort of thing. So been teaching, doing the law enforcement, the gun stuff for since the late 90s, I guess.
So, no spring chicken in the training experience department, that is for sure. Um, and we have a ton of classes from you this year, so I'm kind of excited. Let's see. I'm going to start actually with favorite studies because that's you and Weems and Gelhaus, and I've talked to them. So, folks, you can hear from Gelhaus and Weems about that class too. But this is where the nerds of TACCon get together and discuss some research studies that they enjoy or find useful. Hearn, do you want to add anything to what Lee and Gelhaus have already said about that one?
I only heard about I only heard Weems's. The only thing I say is I don't know what I'm doing yet. It's not for lack of material. It's like I'm trying to pick something. I went from being like a freshman in college where like, oh my God, the professor wants 500 words. How will I ever come up with that? And now it's my problem is just shutting up. So I'm probably either going to do a comprehensive book review of a book that I recommend to a bunch of folks, or when you go out and you look at the world of motor learning, there's some classic studies that people in that world know about that we probably really should. I know that a couple of the ones that I've talked about have really sparked Tom's interest. So if Tom kind of approves of them and is going, man, where'd you find that? That's probably worth sharing with the group. So somewhere between now and TACCon, I'll narrow that down and figure out what I'm doing.
And I can almost guarantee you that it will not be the very, very night before TACCon, right? Almost.
I'm getting a lot better. The retirement stuff was just lazy and horrible time management. It turns out trying to work like two full-time jobs, a part-time job, and be a parent was very time demanding. So I'm not a total slacker.
Shocker. Who would have thunk, right? I mean, would you think there were more than 24 hours in a day? Come on, her and get it together.
I kept trying.
All right, but you mentioned some of the motor skills studies that you've talked about. A few of those get teased in your crime and criminals webinar, which you just wrapped, but you're doing a live in-person version of crime and criminals at TACCon. So you want to touch on that for a minute?
So I think too much about this stuff, but like there is like with the rise of nerdery and geek culture, right? Among overall the culture overall, I think that like I am the answer to nerd and geek culture in the gun trading world because there are people out there who very sincerely want good, timely, accurate information. I call it like the antidote. Like in the gym, it's the bro science as far as that stuff goes. It's like, I guess I'm the antidote to bro science in the gun world. So the crime and criminals is a fairly deep dive, about 2 hours or so, trying to understand what are the crime trends that we have going on in the country, how reliable is the data, what has driven trains traditionally, what can we kind of extrapolate from that, and also understanding what our best strategies as especially armed citizens just trying to get home at the end of the day, what is the best way to accomplish that. So I spend 2 hours talking really, really fast, dumping all the studies and facts and figures, as many as you'd want. I take great pride up in the slides are going to be the sources cited properly and all that stuff. So if any of that sparks your interest, it's also a pretty good way. It's like, hey, you know, go read this study, go read that study, a lot of which are available online now. So it's a really good diving in point for a lot of information.
Fantastic. And finally, last but not least, it's been a few years since you taught a live fire course. I think maybe it was your AR course back in New Orleans pre-COVID, but you're headed back to the range this year at TACCon with a new course and curriculum that you've been really working on refining through Two Pillars training. So tell us about Introduction to Moving Targets. I've seen bits and pieces of this, folks, and it is really, really fascinating what John has done. Give us a sneak peek.
So what I wanted to do with this one was number one, I have not traditionally done shooting stuff at TACCon. Most of my shooting stuff has been when somebody has canceled at the last minute, and it's like I get a 3 week, 3 day notice. I would love to have 3 week notice. 3 day notice. Hey, you're teaching a class at TACCon on this subject, right? As far as that stuff goes, but if you ever looked at any of my who wins, who loses, and why, we really don't do well when we have to solve problems that we've never seen before. And for a variety of reasons, logistics, ease, and stuff like that, one of the most common failings we see in people is just when they have to hit a moving target, they don't have any frame of reference for how to accomplish that. And it's not like it's some super advanced high level skill. You just need to have seen the problem before in order to do it. And as part of that, I really want to push this out to the masses. It's like, you shouldn't have to buy a $30,000 moving target system like I used to have at the local PD range. That was awesome. It's like, how can you maybe with $150, you and your buddies come together for a weekend and make a very affordable but practical moving target? So I'm going to discuss how you actually make them yourself. There's this wonderful exercise that John Holshin did. If you've ever taken his class at TACCon, where he talks about shooting moving targets without equipment, I just to learn to accept things. All I know is that if I run Hoshin's block on the targets first, it makes shooting moving targets that easier. So we're going to talk about how to build your own target systems, why it's important. We're going to run Hoshin's exercises, and then we're actually going to have a legitimate moving target. Kind of the plan is right now to shoot basically some moving B8s, and then depending on how time goes, skill levels goes, and stuff like that, we can also shoot a moving steel target. So again, it's nothing that's like super whiz bang high tech. It's just something that you probably need to be doing, and I'm going to show you how to accomplish that. Basically in the very inexpensively on your small local range without a huge layout and investment or anything like that.
Fantastic. Well, I'm excited to have you back on the range. And of course, I'm always excited to hear what your latest favorite study is. And Crime and Criminals never gets old. Even if you've seen Crime and Criminals, John constantly updates it. And like he said, there's going to be a ton of resources available. I think, John, we already have a Google Doc going with a bunch of links to the resources that you recommend. So maybe that'll be made available to the attendees. So thanks again, bro. I appreciate it. I know you just got off the road from out of town and ran in here and jumped on this call. So I appreciate you making yourself available. And now I will stop bugging you and you can go hug those kids and the beautiful wife of yours and go to sleep. Love you,
And in
buddy.
the
I will
interest of
see you in
full
Dallas.
disclosure, I'm just glad you didn't stand me up this time.
Ah, so I apologize. Did I not? But you did
I'm
say
just not
you
stopping
owed
from giving you
me.
grief.
You said you owed me, remember? And I won't disclose why you owed me, but you owed me one pass. And so I took it by accidentally standing you up, but I am sorry.
It's okay.
I was
Great
doing
seeing
good
you.
stuff, if this is any
I got it.
consolation. Good seeing you too. Thanks, John.